There are moments in life when something in your spirit begins to stir. You can't explain it. You can't even describe it. You just feel that something is changing. Heaven is moving, but quietly. And deep inside, you know, God is about to give you something big. Before it happens, He gives signs. Not in thunder, not in lightning, but in the whispers of your soul. Sometimes the first thing you feel is restlessness. Suddenly, where you are doesn't fit anymore. What used to make you happy feels small. The places that once felt like home now feel too tight. You're not broken, you're being stretched. Heaven is expanding your spirit to hold something greater. That unease, that discontent, it's not confusion. It's divine preparation. You're not losing peace, you're losing limitation. God is pulling you out of what is comfortable to place you where you belong. Then, suddenly, people start to drift away. Doors close that you didn't expect to close. It feels like loss, but it's not. God is quietly rearranging your circle. He's removing voices that can't understand where He's taking you. You may cry, you may ask why. But He's saying, I must separate you to prepare you. Don't fight it. The silence you feel right now is sacred. It's not punishment, it's positioning. Because what's coming is too holy to be surrounded by noise. And just when you think you can't take any more, here comes the storm. The attacks, the misunderstandings, the pressure. Everything starts to fight you. But the reason the warfare feels heavier is because you're closer to the promise than ever before. The enemy does not fight empty hands. He only fights what carries destiny. When all hell breaks loose, it's not the end. It's the final sign that heaven is about to open. The shaking isn't to destroy you. It's to announce that something new is being born. Then one day you'll wake up different. You won't even understand it. The battle is still around you, but the fear is gone. The waiting hasn't ended, but the worry has disappeared. There's a peace that doesn't make sense. It's soft, it's strong, and it sits in your chest like a quiet fire. That's when you'll know it's done. God has already released it. What you were praying for has already left His hand. You're just walking into it now. Listen to me. When God is about to give you something big, He doesn't start by changing your situation. He starts by changing you. He empties what cannot stay. He removes what cannot grow. And when all you have left is Him, that's when He gives you everything. So if you're restless, if you're lonely, if you're under attack, don't you dare give up. You are not being buried. You are being planted. The shaking is not the end. It's the beginning of something holy. Heaven is closer than it looks. And when it comes, you will understand every tear, every loss, every delay. You will whisper through your tears, it was all for this. Because before God gives you something big, He first makes sure your heart is ready to hold it. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when comfort starts to feel uncomfortable. You can't sit still in the same place anymore. What once satisfied you now feels too small, too familiar, too ordinary. You look around and everything is the same, yet something deep inside you knows it isn't the same anymore. That stirring, that quiet unease, that holy restlessness is not a sign that you've lost your peace. It's a sign that God is moving you towards something greater. It's His way of whispering, my child, you've outgrown this level. There's more waiting ahead. It often starts subtly. You find yourself unable to enjoy what you used to love. The conversations that once filled you start to feel empty. The routines that once gave you structure now feel like chains. It's not because life has become bad. It's because your spirit has begun to grow. God is enlarging your capacity for what's coming next. He's preparing you for rooms you haven't entered, for blessings your current self couldn't carry. The uneasiness you feel isn't confusion, it's divine expansion. You might wake up at night and feel this invisible pull, as if something beyond your understanding is calling your name. You can't put words to it, but you know something's shifting. You sense heaven rearranging your steps, even when nothing around you seems to change. That's because before God moves things around you, He first moves things in you. The holy restlessness is his way of shaking loose what can't go with you into your next season. It's not punishment, it's preparation. You may even feel guilty about it. You may ask, God, why am I not happy where I am anymore? Why can't I just stay here? And he whispers, because you prayed for more. Every time you asked him to take you higher, to use you more deeply, to show you his purpose, he heard you. And now, he's answering by stirring your spirit, so you'll move when he says move. The frustration you feel is heaven's gentle push. God loves you too much to let you settle for less than his best. When this restlessness begins, people may not understand. They'll say, why can't you just be content? But this kind of stirring isn't about contentment. It's about calling. God isn't trying to take away your peace. He's trying to wake up your purpose. You weren't born to live in one chapter forever. The same God who made you comfortable in one season will make you uncomfortable in the next, just to move you toward destiny. The nest must feel tight before the eagle learns to fly. Sometimes that restlessness comes right before a big shift, a new opportunity, or a divine breakthrough. You might not even see it yet, but heaven already has it prepared. The stirring is just a sign that what's next is close. The spirit within you begins to align with the promise before your eyes ever see it. You start to feel this sense of urgency, a longing for something you can't name. You may feel like you're wandering, but you're not lost. You're being led. And yes, the process can be painful. You might feel torn between where you've been and where you're going. You might miss the comfort of what was, even as you crave the mystery of what's next. But every step of discomfort is sacred. It's in the in-between that God grows you. The restlessness refines your desires, burns away distractions, and teaches you to depend on his voice more than your surroundings. When everything feels uncertain, that's when your spirit learns how to listen. So don't run from the stirring. Don't numb it with distractions. Don't label it as anxiety when it's really divine transition. Sit with it. Pray through it. Let God stretch your spirit. Because the same restlessness that makes you feel lost is the very sign that you're being found in his purpose. He's calling you higher, and to reach that height, he must first pull you out of what's beneath you. One day soon, you'll look back and realize that what you called discomfort was actually direction. That the unease that made you cry was the push that made you grow. You'll see that God had to unsettle your present to unlock your future. Every time you felt restless, heaven was moving. Every time you couldn't explain the feeling, it was because words couldn't describe the glory that was coming. So if you're restless tonight, if your spirit is stirring and your heart feels stretched, don't fear it. Lift your hands and whisper, Lord, I trust you. Because that holy restlessness isn't the end. It's the first sign that something divine is about to begin. When God starts to make you uncomfortable, it's because he's about to make you unstoppable. You are not breaking down. You are breaking open. Heaven is shifting you into position for the blessing that's already on its way. There comes a time when God begins to pull you away from the familiar. Not because he wants you to be lonely, but because he wants you to be ready. When God separates you, it's never to punish you, it's to prepare you. You may not understand it in the moment, because separation rarely feels holy when it happens. It feels like loss, like rejection, like something precious being taken away. But what's really happening is that heaven is rearranging your path, cutting away what cannot go where you're about to go. You are being hidden, refined, and set apart for something divine. It starts quietly. The people who once understood you suddenly don't. The places that once gave you peace now feel foreign. Conversations that once flowed easily start to feel empty. You look around and realize that what was once a circle has become a space. And in that space, you begin to hear the still, small voice of God more clearly. Because when he wants to speak deeply, he often speaks in solitude. Separation clears away the noise so you can hear his direction without distortion. Many times, this separation happens just before elevation. When God is about to open a door that changes everything, he will close a few first. Not because those people or situations were bad, but because they cannot breathe in the atmosphere He's leading you to. Some people are meant for your past, not your purpose. Some connections were good for your growing season, but not for your going season. You must understand, He's not removing them from your life. He's removing them from your path because their chapter in your story has served its purpose, and it hurts. The human heart doesn't understand why God would strip away what it loves. You'll cry, you'll question, you'll miss what was familiar. You'll feel like you've been forgotten. But you haven't been forgotten, you've been chosen. The separation is sacred. It's the way God sanctifies the vessel before He fills it. You cannot carry a divine assignment surrounded by worldly noise. You cannot walk into your next level with weights tied to your ankles. And so, in love, God begins to prune. He removes the branches that no longer bear fruit, not to harm the tree, but to make it grow stronger. Think of how a diamond is formed. It's hidden in darkness, buried under pressure, unseen by all eyes. It must endure time and shaping before it shines. That's what God does with you in separation. He hides you from the crowd so He can work on you in secret. He silences the applause so you'll learn to move by faith, not validation. He cuts away what is temporary to make room for what is eternal. Every lonely night, every quiet tear, every unanswered call is part of the molding. He's teaching you how to walk with Him alone so that when He blesses you publicly, your heart stays humble. You may look around and say, "Lord, why did you take them away? Why did you close that door?" And He answers softly, "Because I heard conversations you didn't. I saw things you couldn't. I knew that if I didn't move them now, they would block the blessing I'm sending later." You see, God protects what He promises. He knows that divine assignments require divine environments. That's why He isolates before He elevates. You can't rise while carrying what refuses to climb. In this season of separation, you may feel forgotten by people, but you're never unseen by God. He's watching every tear, every silent moment. The wilderness doesn't mean abandonment. It means preparation. The silence doesn't mean God is absent. It means He's working. The very moment you think you've lost everything is often the moment. He's rearranging everything for your good. You will not always understand the pruning, but when the new fruit appears, you will thank Him for every branch He cut away. So let Him separate you. Let Him hide you. Let Him quiet the room around you so He can strengthen the voice within you. Don't chase what's walking away. Don't reopen doors He has closed. Don't fight to hold what heaven has released. The separation is not your ending. It's the sacred beginning of your next chapter. God never removes without replacing, and what He replaces always carries more purpose, more peace, more glory. There will come a day when you will look back and say, "Now I understand." You'll see that every loss was really protection, every goodbye was guidance, every closed door was a divine redirection. You'll realize that being alone wasn't punishment. It was the place where God became your everything. So if you're in that quiet, lonely season right now, take heart. You are not being abandoned. You are being prepared. Heaven is shaping you in silence for something so much greater than you can imagine. One day soon, the same God who separated you will present you. And when He does, everyone will see why you had to be hidden first. There comes a moment before every breakthrough when everything seems to turn against you. The pressure intensifies. The noise gets louder. Doors that were once open start to close. People who were once for you suddenly misunderstand you. You pray, and heaven feels silent. You do everything right, and still everything goes wrong. It's not coincidence. It's spiritual confirmation. The storm always rages hardest right before the dawn. When God is about to release something powerful in your life, opposition rises like a wave. But that opposition is not meant to destroy you. It's meant to reveal the strength God has built inside you. You can tell when you're close to something holy because the warfare becomes personal. It targets your peace, your confidence, your faith. The enemy knows he cannot stop what God has ordained, but he can try to make you give up before it arrives. So he sends distraction after distraction. Discouragement after discouragement just to wear you down. You'll feel misunderstood, isolated, and even betrayed. But that's when you must remember, spiritual pressure is proof of spiritual purpose. You are not under attack because you're weak. You're under attack because you're valuable. Every great move of God in your life will be preceded by resistance. Before the Red Sea opened, Pharaoh's army chased Moses. Before David became king, Saul hunted him. Before Jesus rose in glory, the cross stood in his path. The pattern hasn't changed. Heaven's promise always attracts hell's pressure. But the power of God is not proven in the absence of opposition. It's proven in your endurance through it. Every attack becomes the soil where your faith grows stronger. Every obstacle becomes the stage where God shows his power through your persistence. Sometimes the opposition doesn't come from the outside, it comes from within. You start battling doubt, fear, exhaustion, and thoughts that whisper, "It's never going to happen." You question your calling, your progress, even your worth. That's the enemy's last tactic, to convince you to quit right before your breakthrough. Because he knows he cannot defeat you. He can only deceive you into surrendering. The moment you decide to keep standing, even with trembling hands and tired eyes, heaven stands with you. The angels fight for you. And the very thing sent to destroy you becomes the confirmation that you're about to step into destiny. You'll notice that in this season, small things begin to irritate you more than usual. Situations that used to roll off your back now feel heavier. That's because you're spiritually sensitive. Your spirit can sense the shift that's about to happen. The closer you get to your breakthrough, the more spiritual pressure builds. The darkness isn't expanding, the light is about to break through. Every storm has a breaking point, and so does every trial. You're closer to your release than you think. Don't interpret resistance as rejection. It's the sign that you're walking through a doorway the enemy doesn't want you to cross. When opposition comes, don't fight it in the flesh. Don't argue, don't panic, don't lose your peace. Just stay in position. Worship when it doesn't make sense. Pray when you feel nothing. Stand still and know that God is working behind the curtain. The enemy wants your reaction, but God wants your stillness. Sometimes silence is your greatest weapon. When you refuse to respond in fear, you rob darkness of its power. That's when God steps in, because your stillness says, "Lord, I trust you even here." And when it feels unbearable, when you think you can't take one more hit, remember this. The pressure you feel is the sign of birth, not burial. Every mother knows the pain intensifies right before new life emerges. Spiritually, it's the same. When the warfare gets heavier, heaven is closer. The very weight that feels like it's crushing you is actually forming you. You're not breaking down, you're breaking through. You may cry through the night, but joy is already scheduled for the morning. The opposition will not last forever. The same fire that tried to burn you will refine you until you shine. The same people who doubted you will watch God defend you. The same doors that were slammed in your face will lead to better ones that no man can shut. God never allows opposition unless it's attached to promotion. Every storm you survive becomes proof that you are chosen. So if everything feels like it's falling apart, if every plan seems blocked, if every prayer feels unanswered, don't lose heart. You are standing on the edge of your breakthrough. Heaven is closer than your fear. The noise around you is not the sound of defeat. It's the sound of destiny arriving. Stand still, breathe, and trust that what looks like chaos is actually the choreography of God. Because right before the blessing, the battle always intensifies. Right before the door opens, the pressure always builds. But when it finally happens, you'll look back and realize that every ounce of opposition was necessary. It trained your faith. It toughened your spirit. It taught you to trust what you couldn't see. And you'll whisper through tears of gratitude, "Now I understand. The battle was never against me. It was for what was inside me." So lift your head even in the storm. Keep walking even through the fire. The resistance you feel is heaven's announcement. For your breakthrough is near, There comes a point in your journey when everything around you may look chaotic, uncertain, and heavy, yet something inside you is still. You can't explain it. You can't describe it. It doesn't make sense to anyone, not even to yourself. But it's real. It's a peace that doesn't come from answers, it comes from trust. It's not built on what you see, it's born from who you know. It's that deep, quiet calm that whispers, God's got it. Even when nothing around you looks like it's working. That's not ordinary peace. That's divine peace. It's heaven's signature resting on a surrendered heart. This peace doesn't come because the battle is over. It comes right in the middle of the storm, when your faith finally stops wrestling and starts resting. It's the moment you stop trying to control what you can't and let God be who He's always been. You begin to realize that peace isn't the absence of trouble, it's the presence of God. It's not when everything is solved. It's when your soul knows it's safe even in the unknown. That's why it doesn't make sense to others. Because it's supernatural. You reach this peace not by doing more, but by letting go. There comes a day when your heart finally whispers, Lord, I've done all I can. Now it's yours. And something shifts. The anxiety that once screamed in your chest begins to quiet. The thoughts that once ran wild begin to slow down. The tears that once felt endless begin to feel holy, because they're no longer tears of panic, but tears of surrender. You stop fighting to make everything work, and you start trusting that even if it doesn't, He will still be good. You'll notice that your reactions begin to change. What used to shake you doesn't anymore. The same storms that once made you afraid now make you fall to your knees in peace. You start walking through chaos without losing your calm. You begin to speak softly, move slowly, and love deeply, not because life got easier, but because your heart found its anchor. That's what God does when He gives you His peace. It roots you. It stabilizes you. It becomes the unshakable center in a world that trembles. This kind of peace can only come after the breaking. It's born after the storm, after the tears, after you've wrestled with your will and finally chosen His. It's the peace that grows in the soil of surrender. You'll never experience it by trying to figure everything out. You'll experience it when you finally let go of needing to. You stop demanding explanations and start trusting His timing. And in that moment, heaven wraps its arms around your heart. There is a stillness that comes when you truly believe God is working, even when you can't see it. You may not know how, you may not know when, but you know He hasn't left. That quiet assurance, that invisible confidence, that's the miracle. The world looks at you and says, how can you be so calm right now? And you just smile because you know something they don't. You know who's holding you. That's the peace that passes understanding. It's not logical, but it's powerful. This deep peace also changes your vision. You stop seeing your delays as denials. You stop seeing your pain as punishment. You begin to see purpose in everything. The very things that once made you cry now make you grateful, because you see how God used them to shape you. The unanswered prayers start to look like protection. The waiting seasons start to feel sacred. You no longer need proof. His presence is enough. That's the freedom of divine peace. You stop living in fear of what might happen because you trust who is in control. There's a sacred silence that comes when your soul has learned to rest. You stop rushing. You stop explaining yourself. You stop fighting battles that don't belong to you. You begin to move with grace and speak with wisdom. You start to feel light again. That's what happens when you're finally aligned with God's rhythm. Your spirit moves in sync with heaven's heartbeat. You walk through storms, but they don't walk through you. And when others look at you and say, you should be falling apart, they won't understand that the reason you're still standing is because peace is holding you up. It's not that you don't feel pain, it's that pain no longer defines you. You carry peace like armor, invisible but unbreakable. It guards your mind. It protects your heart, and it keeps you steady while everything else shakes. So if you're in a season where life doesn't make sense, Where prayers seem unanswered and the waiting feels long, stop striving, be still. Let that peace find you. You don't have to chase it. It's already within you. The same spirit that calmed the sea is inside your soul. Just breathe and trust. The situation may not change overnight, but your heart will. And that's where the miracle begins. Because the greatest sign that God is near isn't when the storm stops. It's when your heart does. When you can stand in the middle of uncertainty and still whisper, "It is well." That's when you know heaven has touched you. That's when you know God has already won. And that peace, that deep, sacred peace that doesn't make sense, is the proof that your breakthrough has already begun. And now, beloved, hear this with your whole heart. The peace that doesn't make sense is not the ending of your story. It's the evidence that your story is safe in His hands. You didn't lose control. You finally gave it to the one who never fails. That calm that covers you is heaven's way of saying, the battle is no longer yours. When you reach the place where you can breathe again, not because everything is perfect, but because you know He is present, that's where true faith lives. Every storm you've survived, every tear you've cried, every moment you thought you couldn't go on, all of it was leading you here. To this stillness, to this sacred rest. God never wanted you to live in fear. He wanted you to live in peace. Not temporary peace, not peace that depends on outcomes, but eternal peace that flows from knowing you are loved, seen, and covered. So let this peace guard you when life shakes. Let it guide you when nothing makes sense. Let it be your song when others hear only noise. Because when you carry His peace, you carry His power. The world may not understand it, but they will feel it. You will walk into rooms and change the atmosphere without saying a word. Because divine peace radiates stronger than any sermon ever could. And when you face the next storm, because life will bring more, you won't panic. You'll remember. You'll remember that the same God who brought you through before will do it again. You'll close your eyes, whisper, "It is well," and heaven will move once more. Because peace is not the proof that the battle is over. Peace is the proof that God is already in control. And when you find that kind of peace, nothing and no one can ever take it from you.